crisis within the opposition still lingers, from Labour Party to, of course, the ADC, and of course, the different political parties who are in the opposition. One thing is very common: crisis rocking almost every opposition party. But of course, the ADC is also making sure that all coalitions that came together to form that political party, to adopt that political party for 2027, are making sure they want to come together and front a candidate. What is the alternative to APC come 2027 is going to be a topic for today. And no other person that will help me do justice to this and speaking his truth as a former IPAC chairman, Chief Peter Ameh. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Very interesting topic we want to look at. And we'll look at how 2027 is just less than 2 years. Let me start first from your party. You are in Labour Party. Crisis rocking your party. The likes of Abure still holding the party at the jugular. You belong to the camp of the Nenadi Usman Sambo-led executive. Then you have the Lamidi Papa of this world, who are also on one corner of the divide. Some persons are saying, what exactly is happening to Peter Obi? Is he already in coalition or is still in the Labour Party? But let's first start. All of this, how is the crisis, tearing apart the Labour Party?
For me, thank you for having me. I do not. Political party is a voluntary organization with self-succession authority as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And for the political party we have, the one I'm a member of is Labour Party. What happened is that it's not the parties per se that is having crisis. I can tell you this because the issues are far long been resolved by the Supreme Court judgment. And the Supreme Court was very clear, stating that, when leadership of a political party, their tenure expires, they should be able to vacate the office and leave. And it was Nanade Usman that went to court. And that decision was taken to INEC. And recently you see INEC filing cases at various courts saying that the Labure-led National Working Committee tenure have expired. That's what INEC has said clearly in all their documentation. So it is left for where I know where crisis is. As somebody who have participated in party management, despite the overbearing attitude of the commission to always undermine political party, which is what they do in most of these parties today, is the fact that the INEC cannot say that it does not know the modus or what to be used to resolve the challenge that is in Labour Party. Because what INEC is saying that there's no leadership of a political party, and that is not true. Because nature harbors no vacuum. There's no way you can say there's no leadership because you have a elected House of Rep members, elected senators, elected House of Assembly members, elected governor and deputy governor. So if you can't leave this group of persons and say they have no leadership in their party. So INEC has a way of resolving party issues, looking at the constitution of the party, advising those who are left behind, and then tell them what to do. But INEC has remained in the middle ground and say there's no leadership. That is an aberration. That is an absurdity that I, as somebody who is experienced in this field, know that it's not possible. What INEC would have done, because there are people who are statutory delegate to the National Convention. If you are a statutory delegate, if you have 200 statutory delegates, and what you have remaining is 50, you take majority from the 50 and allow those 50 convene their meeting and then take decision about the leadership of the party. But INEC had not, been able to do that because, from my own perspective and my understanding, is that their interference, within the commission that does not allow the commission to have the needed independence to be able to do its work properly. When the commission becomes a truly independent body, you will find out that this kind of issues that you have, small crisis within this political party will no longer exist. But in every association of that human beings belong, there will always be disagreement and agreement. And I know that Labour Party is working behind the scene to try to get its problem resolved in a very short time. It's not an issue.
So when you say that INEC is not coming to the party in terms of trying to resolve the issues, because I also read the Supreme Court judgment, and I know that what the Supreme Court said was that, the the political party affairs should be resolved by themselves.
That's where people make mistake.
Okay.
It is part of, say, the INEC say they are not going
because
ahead.
that's what they say.
INEC was referring to the judgment of the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal.
But that's the same thing they said against the PDP case.
Even as much as they said that in the PDP, they still say that they should remain with the court of, because cases have foundations. The case started from Federal High Court, where the Federal High Court declared Abure as national chairman.
Yeah.
And then the appeal court accepted that he was still the national chairman.
Yeah.
What the Supreme Court is saying that the appeal court and Supreme Court and the Federal High Court had no right to have declared the leadership of the party.
Had no jurisdiction on that matter.
That is what it was saying. But further, you read that judgment, go to about page 47 or 48 to 49. You see it clearly where the judge said that when the tenure of a national officer has expired, it is wrong for that national officer to force himself on the party. And that based on these facts, this tenure has expired. And don't forget, a person went to court. Senator Darlington Wokocha went to court. Yeah. Senator Nanende Yusma went to court. Yeah. They went to court on what basis? They went to court as national chairman, national secretary of Labour Party.
As at when the convention has not been held yet.
No, the convention was held.
That's
convention has been held.
No, that's where I'm even going. Because I remember after the election, there was a convention that brought in, that reinstated Abure again.
You see, party management is a very...
No. I want us to break down.
A convention organized in Inewi.
Yes.
That convention organized in Inewi, INEC was not present. INEC had denied the knowledge of that convention. I'm a member of the party. INEC wasn't there. You see what INEC does? INEC is just it's just that INEC has reduced its potency and people are no longer trusting it. If not, INEC is a regulator and a registrar of political parties. They are not just there for show.
Are you sure INEC is not in that particular?
And INEC wasn't there. It was 100% confirmed. I will have a letter if I can bring it on phone.
Because I remember that the deputy governor of Abia State was part of that.
But INEC wasn't there.
So let's for the sake of this for the sake of this discussion, you said INEC wasn't there. So eventually another convention was held in Umuahia.
What was held in Umuahia was a stakeholder meeting after INEC had declared that there was no leadership for the party.
Okay.
So those leaders who were statutory delegates to, in the party, like the governor, the deputy governor, and other, critical stakeholders had to meet to forge a pathway for the leadership of the party. So INEC rejecting that is that INEC had
so INEC was in that particular one?
INEC wasn't there.
No, in the Umuahia too?
No, INEC wasn't there.
Okay. So
let's get this thing clear.
Right.
If INEC position is to do what is right. If you say one is over, the party can't be without life. The party is a legitimate bona fide body, entity, established by the Constitution. You go to section 221 to 210, you find out how political party management, running, and institutional framework is done. Yeah. So you have INEC in place that's supposed to regulate that process. Nobody can take away that power from INEC because INEC has multiple functions, including to undertake, to organize and conduct elections. So apart from that function of that election, they also have other burden to carry when it comes to party regulations, party management, and party registration. So INEC cannot foist a leadership on a political party.
Of course.
That is law. What INEC is supposed to do is work with stakeholders of the party, looking at the regulations within the political party constitution, and then looking at the regulation within INEC owns guidelines and regulation for management of political party, the electoral act and the constitution, and then come to a decisive conclusion. Because INEC can say, for instance, that if you're a chairman of the commission, you can't say, for instance, that you want to stay for 2 years, that the party has no leadership. It's an indictment on the commission. It's an indictment on the management of the commission that they don't have the capacity to take up their responsibility and do their work without being biased. So this is the challenge that we had, and the people want to blame people. Look, people will have misunderstanding, I used to see Abure, somebody that I was very close to. I was very close to him. So, but it's not about being close to a person. It's not about being
Are you still close to him now?
No, political differences. But I have no personal enmity with him. But political differences, I feel we must take political part and do what is right for our country and for our political party. So I don't have any personal enemy. I've always been the fact that I've stayed on my course and make sure that what I feel is right, I channel my energy towards that purpose. And that purpose is for us to have a robust political party that will not give the opportunity to parties in government to continue to, run affairs in a way that it will become so retrogressive to our economy, retrogressive to our political environment, and then cause harm to the people of this country. That is what we feel we should do.
Some persons say that your presidential candidate in the 2023 election is like an orphan who does not have a house for now. He's just wandering around. And they don't really know exactly where he belongs. So if he's in the ADC or if he's in the Labour Party, because whether you like it or not, the Abure-led executive is still occupying the Labour Party headquarters.
There's another Labour Party headquarters now. It doesn't matter. Anybody can.
Okay. So how do you justify that? Because some persons say he's just wandering around. And how do you also justify that the vice presidential candidates of your political party now went back to the Abure-led faction and say, okay, I've come back home. Something is not right in between.
You see, democracy, what it gives excessive freedom. So that's when I find out that people's freedom and the ability for them to, air their opinion is being restricted by people in power, I feel very angry. What the vice president candidate have done is to, display his own authority and his own, preference or whatever interest he has on how to, be participate in the democratic engagement process. So you can't fault that. But for people to, wherever get more, it become more laughing issues. That for people to say that Peter Obi is an orphan, he does not have a political party, they are stating what is not obvious. What is obvious is that Peter Obi is a member of the Labour Party. It's very obvious. As I'm talking to you, even last week he was campaigning with George Moghalu in Anambra State. He was campaigning and he's a candidate of Labour Party. He remains in Labour Party and is a member of Labour Party until further notice. And whenever he takes a decision, he's somebody that I feel very committed towards because I've known him for a long time and I see his undisciplined nature. For the fact that I know that the level of sacrifice he has been able to, train himself to a point where all these issues that stand as interest to normal politician does not, trip him. Issue of money, of issue of luxury, issue of, mismanagement of public resources. These are the things that make me very, be interested in him. And these issues are still there and they are still potent in his character, in his attitude. Because when we have government, that what government does is for them to provide more luxury. People in government get richer. People in government drive Rolls Royce these days. People in government buy houses in Florida. Somebody who have never invested in any company, who have never run any, successful company, has 3 houses in Florida, has Rolls Royce, and there are no questions from that. So
what are you talking about?
You know it. Amoje Sorore and Co. are fighting with Wike with houses in Florida. Wike said on China's TV that he has a Rolls Royce which he bought and inherited from his father, who had never driven a Rolls Royce. So it's not today Rolls Royce started. Those families who we know have been driving Rolls Royce in this country, we know them. So it is not an issue that we look at. So these are the issues. These are what attracted me and continue to attract me to Peter Obi. I've never seen a more disciplined person. I've not seen anybody that's as disciplined as Peter Obi. I am from North Central. I have the right to contest for president. I have that right. But I think that for now, we should be able to present candidates that have the capacity to redefine our economic fortunes of this country. And that's where I look at it, because both private and public life, it is glaring that he has demonstrated some very high degree of discipline. And that's where my interest is. So I believe Peter Obi has a political party, and people should continue to look at him. Whenever I decide that he's no longer a Labour Party, it will be a public knowledge.
When you say, he campaigned for George Moghalu, of course, I know that. Remember, during the by-election, he campaigned for an ADC person in Anambra State. He didn't campaign for the Labour Party person in Anambra State. So that also begs the question exactly where does his loyalty lies. I know he's in the coalition, but, do you understand? But there are questions, that really need an answers.
And that's what I need to explain to you. For the Anambra election where he campaigned for Odionitsha North State House of Assembly. We need to get the details of this information so that the members of the public will know that Peter Obi is always committed to his promises, and he's a very compassionate and very committed leader. So what happened was that the woman in question, her husband died. Her husband was an House of Assembly member elected under the Labour Party and was serving as Zuka. and was killed in Anambra State. Up to today, there's no police report. Soludo have not said anything about it. No government. He's the chief secretary of the state. There's no anything. And then in build up to that by-election, INEC insisted that they were not going to monitor any of the primaries from the two sides. So Labour Party had no candidate published by INEC. And she went to the ADC. In keeping to respect the man who have died, in under questionable circumstances, and also be able to stand by the family, he decided to campaign for the woman in question. And I am very proud of him for doing that. I'm proud that he could commit himself to honoring somebody who have been very loyal to him, somebody who have been loyal to the Constitution, somebody who have served in the State House of Assembly and kept on, doing what was right. And probably we don't know what led to his death, and do such in a very gruesome manner. So the wife deserves such level of support. And a lot of people will be encouraged to associate with somebody who Yoruba used to say, "Shoju Shenyi," whether behind or front, he will always be loyal to friendship. That's what I believe he has done.
Okay, interesting. But let's now look at ADC before we now get to the APC and all. Let's look at the ADC and the coalition that formed the ADC, how they now adopt ADC. I remember that I covered that adoption ceremony where the coalitions came together and adopted ADC. But after that particular event, some of your persons who were in Labour Party started the conversation, whether this ADC is actually meant to scheme it for the former vice president who was on the ballot for PDP in 2023, in the person of Atiku Abubakar. Some also were saying that cannot be, it's either Peter Obi or nothing if ADC is supposed to pick a candidate. But you also understand when you are going to an election, there need to be a primaries. There need to be, is there going to be a consensus? If there's going to be a consensus, who is going to pick up the tickets for the consensus? Or is the party saying that we are just going to go to the primary, whoever wins, wins?
People talk about primaries as if is one holy grail of party selection process for candidates. It's not. Okay. It has never been. It just like in Nigeria, we celebrate things and we take it to a point where even the corruption will no longer say, even the truth. I've been involved in signing delegate form. I've been involved in signing letters to INEC, to nominate and organize primaries. So I know how dubious the Nigerian primaries process is. Mm-hmm. And for you to get it right, INEC is do not even have the capacity to monitor a transparent primaries. INEC doesn't. INEC does not have the capacity to be able to say, INEC, look at even the buying of vote at polling unit. INEC can't do anything about it. So you have a primary process that has become a joke and a charade for many politicians who know how to spend money on the primaries day. But our challenge, and what we should do, we should learn from the best practices all over the world. When you have you have a candidate, because what the party does is to put its best foot forward. That's what the party does everywhere in the world. When Trump lost the election, and there was a time to go back for another election, there wasn't any primaries. The party believed he had the capacity to deliver. If you look at the result of the last election, it was only none of these people who are forming coalition today would have had the courage to take their money and enter an empty party and say, let Nigeria follow them. None of them would do it. They came up with the coalition because they needed the coalition more than Peter Obi. That's the truth. I stand to offend Peter Obi today, but the fact remains that this coalition came about because they needed a situation where they can draw more strength from his popularity and his support, the wide support base within the Nigerian population. So you have a situation where people wanted to go to primaries, so that primaries, going to primaries, like people tell you, say go to court. It's the same thing. There's no difference. That go to court mantra that they talk is like, go to primaries. Yeah. Let's go to primaries. Yeah. It's the same thing. Let's go to court because people know how these primaries are. You know that you can't get justice in court. You can't get justice in your primaries. Like, what they should do. The justice in court for electoral cases are very difficult. It is almost impossible. We know, we live in this country. We've seen what the judiciary had become. And people can want to pretend about it, but this is our reality. This is our truth. Why are we wanting to, pretend? If we don't talk about these things, how are we going to resolve this country? How are we going to repair this country? This country, we demand that this country works for the future generation, for my own children. I have seen the crisis in this country, and I've seen the challenge of our judicial system and our legislative system. Yeah. And I believe that it's only speaking the truth that will make the reality, that what we envision to be, the standard of governance become a reality. So what we have, if you want to have a situation to go to primaries, today we have a gentleman agreement between the North and the South. And most often, these unwritten agreements are more decisive than written agreements. More decisive. Because what do you say? That's why you say we carry a Christian from the South, you carry a Muslim from the North. We am a Christian from the South, from the North. When are they going to carry me as president? So we have a challenge in our system. And the only way we can resolve it is for us to continue to follow that fault line and redefine it properly so that we can continue to have an amended position to keep this country stable. So a Northerner has just finished 8 years. That's Buhari. If Buhari has finished 8 years, today, everybody that is in the ADC, that is in Labour Party, that is in the APP, knows that this participated at one time or the other in agreeing for rotation, whether in the PDP, whether they were in the ADC. So why now we now have a challenge that Buhari have done 8 years. Tinubu has taken 4 years of the southern, he's taking 4 years out of the southern part. So we must go back to Southern Presidency and let them complete their 8 years. Any attempt to take the candidate of these parties to the north, we boomerang. Because there will be Southern solidarity. People will not want to sit in their house in Rivers State, sit in their house in Benin, sit in their house in Anambra, sit in their house in Delta, and say no, that their Southern children will not have opportunity to govern equally just as the Northern had done. So this is the challenge that we have in our democracy. And what candidate do you have to best do that for you? You look at the election result of last time. In the North alone, Obi, who was the first entrance into the system to run for a presidential election, got 15.2%. So why are we trying to run away from that? When he got 44.5% in the South. It's only Obi that has the consolidated authority with vote that can defeat Tinubu. Because even in Lagos, he defeated Tinubu. In Port Harcourt, in Rivers State, in Abuja.
No, in Rivers State, Tinubu defeated.
Why people
but no.
Can I say something?
No, Mr. Peter.
Can I finish what I'm saying?
What INEC?
Can I say what I'm saying?
Okay.
You say what INEC?
No, but that's INEC is the electoral body that gives us the final result.
But it's INEC that also uploaded on the IRF. If INEC uploaded on the IRF and INEC declare a result that is not true, that should I stand by that? How
do you justify that
INEC should stop being a criminal institution?
No, how do you justify that the result was not true?
I justify that's not true because I went to the IRF until today, the result that INEC announced contradicts the result that INEC uploaded. Go and look at the BBC report. Go and look at the Premium Times report. They are a report that we can stand on when it comes to Rivers State. You can leave all the other states and leave it to speculation. But the one of Rivers State, the authentic report that we can stand on, that INEC goofed by announcing result that does not tally with what he had uploaded on his IRF. That report is there. So we can't have this system, continue to blindfold ourselves or hide behind one finger, hoping that nobody sees us. And I goofed when it comes to election tabulation in 2023 election. And what we should say is that going forward, such anomaly, such irresponsible behavior should not be condoned by Nigerians. INEC is an institution for our country, not an institution for the APC, not for the Labour Party, not for the ADC. The issue with democracy, why we do not have good governance today, is because people think they can force themselves on people. And why young people, why the children of the poor are not getting into power, why elections are becoming so extremely capital intensive today, is because there's no free and fair elections. If there are free and fair elections and a child of a man born in Agege, or born in Yanokpaja, or born in Nyanya, or born in Ogugu, can decide to go for an election at a low cost minimum and win election and discover that nobody was standing behind him but apart from the people, you start to see some level of behavioral changes, some level of development in our culture. Not what we have today. What we have today is that people are using and stealing mandate, and mandate without legitimacy is a problem. The mandate must come with legitimacy. Mandate must come with the support of the people. Anytime you announce election in Nigeria, a winner of election in Nigeria, the nation going into mourning. So there's something wrong. If you announce the election of a winner in any country, people should be in celebratory mood. There should be joyous mood across all the streets of the country. So we need to get our election right. Our elections is a cardinal foundation upon which we can build a just and equitable society. So we can't look at the truth and leave it away. For the Rivers State, there's a data. The data was provided by INEC. is hosted on his IREF data, and there are people who have done extensive work on that. Is BBC and Premium Times. So we can't say that there's no data. There's data that was manipulated. That is the truth.
Okay, so I wanted us to go back to the issue of how Peter Obi would field for 2027. Like your own camp? I know that you belong, like I said, I know that you belong to the Nana Mansa, the likes of Aisha Yusufu, you people are all together. What is your take on the fact that if the ticket, if eventually Peter Obi now goes to, move to ADC, that means that you guys are his backbones. You can't have a leader without a backbone. So, and eventually the ticket is wielded to the north. What will be your take? Would you still have to stay within the party, stick with the party's choice, or would you go out of the party, look for another means to get another political party? Remember, that means that we will have left Labour Party. I remember Dati Baba Ahmed, when he met the Labour Party members, he also indicated his interest in contesting for president in 2027. I was there. I was at that particular press conference. He also, they said there's nothing bad if he contests. So that's an indication.
That I said it too. It's fundamental.
No,
right.
There's nothing bad if he contests.
He has not said he's running.
There's nothing bad if you say there's nothing bad if I contest. Meaning I can put my leg in the ring. But that's by the way. But I'm saying that what is left for the Labour Party caucus of your side and the obedience movement, if eventually this does not happen, this does not go their way?
For me, I would advise the man I support, the man I will continue to support, I will advise him that we should not destroy this democracy, and he should not support the destruction of this democracy. I think what we should do in any political party, we will not allow the culture that we want to undermine ourselves to continue. What we should do is the fact that every party in this country, even their zoning, there should be a elite consensus meeting where these meetings are arranged. We agree on who is going to be on the ballot so that we don't go to primaries alone and go to war and then come out again fragmented as political party. Whichever party, if you look at what primaries does, is to weaken the power of the opposition at every point in time, because people would have thrown banters against themselves. Exactly. So when it comes to campaign and you try to want to support the person again, the citizen will say, but you were insulting this one just now. Yeah. So it destroyed the chances of the opposition. So I believe the right thing to be done for any political party, whether it's Labour Party, whether I don't have the capacity to speak for ADC, but I will advise them, is for us to go into zoning and agree which part of the country should have the ticket before we go into the primaries. Well, we go into adoption of a candidate so that we don't, destroy ourselves before we get to the main election. Because the main election is the one we are contesting with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The one we are contesting against ourselves. It should be a collective idea on a struggle of how to save this country from the hands of the APC. So I don't believe he should go into, I won't follow him to anywhere. I won't follow him to anywhere where there's no such agreement to zone for the southern Nigeria to complete their 8 years. I won't be part of that.
So if he goes, you stay.
I said I won't be part of that. There must be an agreement that is zoned to southern Nigeria. I won't be part of it. I've been very principled all my life. Nobody can, like I told people, you can meet a lot of politicians and say, that politician, when he was young, he was running from one political house to other. I don't do that. So no politician can come out. That's why I say my truth. No politician can come out and say, Chief Ameh ran to my house and said he needed this. I don't do that. I don't even seek running for appointment. Taye Sholari is very popular in today. He was never a minister. He was never a governor. People don't even remember people who serve as minister under Buhari. People can't even remember people who serve as minister under Obasanjo or Yaradua. In fact, the one of Yaradua was worse because their principal died. So the only thing you'd leave is to build an egalitarian society. Even if you cannot build it, you can attempt to attain it. Just like Jakande did in Lagos. Today we have Jakande everywhere. Jakande wasn't the governor for 10 years. He was the governor for a short period of time. But it's people's policy kept his name alive in today. So I don't believe in those principles. So for me, I believe Nigeria must be structured well, both mentally and politically and socioeconomically, so that we can have a stable society that is inclusively driven, that have the interest of all the ethnic nationality at heart, that promotes the diversity that we have and create unity in the process. So if it's not zoned to Southern Nigeria, I won't follow him. I won't be part of his journey.
Interesting. I want us to look at the issue of 2027, looking at an alternative to APC. And that's a bigger question. If the House is not in order, how does the opposition wants to make it happen? 2027 is just 2 years away, not less than 2 years away anyway. And APC had already unanimously, says they are going to field President Bola Tinubu for 2027 without any height of doubts. So that means that for the opposition, with whichever political party, there must be somebody who is strong enough to challenge the president come 2027. What do you think is the alternative for 2027? If in the case of where Peter Obi is not on the ballot box? Now, I've taken it
I
away.
do not see that case arising. I do not see that situation at all. That Peter Obi I am very convinced that Peter Obi must be on the ballot.
What if in the case?
Let me answer within the context that I'm sure that he will be on the ballot.
I know that you want to say Obi on the ballot.
If it's not in the ballot, it will be a sad day for our country. It will be a sad day for the intentions of those who believe in good governance, and it will probably strengthen the position of the APC.
You know why I gave that analogy is because in the case of when Mr. Peter Obi now goes to ADC and it goes to the primaries and the primaries favor whoever the primaries favors and it doesn't favor him, he can't. We don't know if he will be able to, whether the Labour Party, what if in the case that Labour Party is not able to accept him back to come back into the party?
Peter Obi is the biggest opposition commodity today. A lot of party wants him. Apart from the ADC, I know parties that call me just to talk to him. Today, Nigeria has 19 registered political parties. Yeah. I know parties that are my friends that I work with over the last 20 years, some of them 5 years, because it depends on when their parties were registered, who are calling. Peter Obi is the biggest opposition political commodity. So any party that gives Peter Obi ticket today, that is sure of going to the ballot with about 45% of support on ground. That is the truth, on ground, without anything. Because you are a party in power is different from being party in opposition. That is the truth. Because
you think that
which of the candidates today that exist in the opposition can say without mixing words that they can bring their zone to the table, that they can bring another zone to the table? Very few of them, none of them, they're there. It's only Peter Obi that can do that. That can bring more zones to this table, on a concrete slate that will help the opposition, struggle to get to government, to get to the presidential villa.
So you don't believe in the likes of Amici?
No. Let's leave these issues now. Amici is a good person. He has all his trade. He has been part of a government for a while.
But he wants to contest for election.
It's his fundamental right. Yeah. I keep on saying I don't contest people's fundamental right. Where's the vote going to come from? It's not even been tested, presidential election. So I don't see, we can't be taking risks in the opposition. I don't think he has the...
He was second position to
primaries. Primaries are not the true test of an election. It's not. Primaries are not. So you can at least meet the 300 people that are voting. You can see them. You can't wake up and just earn 6 point something million after rigging. And these are different. This is a different ballgame. If the opposition wants to win, they should be into gamble. It's not about how much one can spend or how much people can talk. It's about the concrete reality that we see. What are the things that we see? What are the things we connect with? What are the things we are hearing on the street? Me and you can do voice properly. Let's take your microphone. Let's go to the street and start asking questions and put 3 of these candidates on the road. That's why you get to know your result. Research it. You research whether you are doing it. You have to do research from a point of, gathering data. So you can't just, your wishful thinking. A lot of people want to be president now. Are they going to be president? You know the truth now. Even your conscience, it's just that you are the one, on the other side asking questions. Your conscience, that is not, there are a lot of people who want to be president, but they know the reality is not true. But what we have today is that people have shown that they can trust an individual with their vote. They have shown there was no structure, there was no entrenched authority, there was no political structure that was used to be able to lie to people. Oh, no structure, how can you win? People went to the ballot, people cast their vote, people died for Peter Obi. People were arrested because of him. I saw a woman who said her head was broken in Lagos because of Peter Obi. The woman still went back to the clinic, took treatment, went to her house, and went back to vote. That was the energy, the electricity that was pumping through the vein of people in 2023. So you can't take that away, and just wake up and bring somebody that has no momentum, that have no public appeal, that people are not interested to give up their life for. Democracy is not a child's play. To win power, it's not child's play. It's not a la carte that you just think they will serve you on your table because you can talk. I can talk. I speak. I know the issues of this country. But I know that we must, right now, live in our current reality. Deal with the issues that we are seeing. Do we want to be in the power? If we want to be in power, do we have to marginalize people to keep some other people in power? This country belongs to all of us. If we want to be in power, why are we not putting our best candidate forward? Why are we doing it as if it's a quota system? It's not a quota system. But for us to be able to get it right, we need a candidate that has public appeal, that has public support, that has credibility, that people have accepted as an individual that they can trust. And that candidate is Peter Obi. Everybody knows this.
So while I understand your analogy, I'm also thinking in this way. President Bola Tinubu was not in power in 2023. Was not in power in 2023 until May 2023. So now he's in power. How do you want to topple? Do you see that chance of where an incumbent who knows this game? You're in politics, so you know how these things work. How do you think that this is going to happen?
A federal election is different from a local government election. It's even different from a state election.
Yeah.
Even in that, for the first time, Tinubu lost Lagos.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah.
Not because he was unguided, but because the people, their self-consciousness, woke up in the middle of the struggle to see that they needed to create a better future for their children. Yeah. Tinubu had been in power. It is a scorecard against those who he is contesting against. He's the one that has something to show, to say, this is what I've done. As the people's life under him, as they fare well, are people living comfortably, as his policies, generated jobs, as he created jobs. Is the money, billions of naira that Wale do claim they shared, did people get the money? So this is Tinubu's challenge. Tinubu is going into the election as somebody that has been tested.
Yeah.
Did he score a pass mark? Then it was coming from outside. Nobody, people still looked at him as one, with this vague work, people use a strategist and all that. But that is in government. Yeah. As government demystified Tinubu. As Tinubu done what he promised all his life, restructuring, as if he attempt to do it. As he attempt to cut down cost of governance, or he has bloated governance by having the largest minister since 1999. As in be able to look at the cost of traveling, how much is he staying in Nigeria, or he spends more traveling and overburdening Nigerian expenditure with cost of personal travels. So these are the challenges that Tinubu will have in 2027. And these challenges does not just the fact that Nigerians are suffering. The data out there does not favor him. The truth is that the out-of-pocket expenses, the out-of-pocket authority, the power of the purchasing power of the ordinary Nigeria has drastically been cut by over 60%. Because Tinubu met fuel at 197 and dollar at 400 and something naira. Yes, the price has skyrocketed. So this is not because the policy he initiated wouldn't have helped, but he initiated policy without plans. There was an hasty decision to remove the fuel subsidy. It was very hasty. I'm an economist. I studied this, and I also studied developmental economist. What you do, can never be a policy without plans. And what you do, there can never be policy that will affect the millions lives of the people without mitigating effect or strategy being put in place. What you'd have done was to, do you have, look at Dangote, for instance, a private entity, put up a refinery. He has been able to hire 4,000 drivers, maybe 8,000 or so, and bought CMG buses that will supply this product across Nigeria. If Nigeria had, had a proper plan, and probably buy 20,000 buses, CMG, and then put them on the road a week, and then the next day you announce fuel subsidy is gone. Marketers the transporters won't take advantage of Nigerians. Because government would have, be able to mitigate that effect. Government would have been able to stop that situation from happening. Because on the day Tinubu had announced this fuel subsidy removal, transportation costs increased by 300%. And that is very dangerous for the man earning 70,000 naira. Because I have people working with me. People who earn 100,000, 150,000 naira. They now use half of that money for transportation. So this is where the challenges that he had. Because he had people who he could not, sit down, get into office, look at files. You can be a visionary without proper, planning. We always miss people and take people to a wrong direction.
So you feel that Peter Obi has a proper planning then?
No, there's no way Peter Obi would have removed subsidy the way Tinubu.
But he said he was going to remove it.
There's no way he would have done it. I'm telling you plans that we would have done. What we would have done. Jonathan even did a better removal plan than Jonathan plan was almost perfect. Not perfect, but almost perfect. He just didn't have the courage to ignore the people like Tinubu have ignored us in our suffering. That was why he reversed it, because there's no power that Tinubu have today that he has ignored and stayed that Jonathan did not have. Jonathan just felt, why do we have to kill ourselves? Why people have to continue to struggle? And left it. But Tinubu doesn't listen. For him, it is, I've taken the decision, you people have to bear it.
But he also said that, if we don't take this decision now, he's going to bite in years to come.
We're asking that the decision be taken.
Okay.
So that Nigerians don't become burnt offering. Burnt offering, have you heard of burnt offering? That Nigerians don't become burnt offering as a result of Tinubu taking decision. Because Nigerians don't become the people who bear 100% of the pain as a result of Tinubu taking decision. The Nigerians don't become, so pauperized to a point that they were garnishing of teeth and they were struggling to feed themselves because Tinubu took a decision that will favor his government. No, the government belongs to the people. It's the people that has the government. You have to think of what affects them. It is not government as in the structural meaning that you have. It is the people. Because when Tinubu removed fuel subsidy, Tinubu didn't show that there should be sacrifice for this country. He bought a private jet. He bought a Cadillac. He bought a yacht. He's renovating presidential villas, and the cost of transporting and moving around with him and his vice president tripled. So these are the challenge. If you are cutting costs, if we are adjusting our bet, if we are tightening our bet that Nigeria should work, we should see those in government also adjusting. They should have been living luxurious life or cenutious life at the expense of the tax or the ordinary man on the street. These are the challenges. These are the reality. We need to continue to tell people. We don't hate anybody. We don't want anybody to crash, but we want it to work. But if you say masses should tighten their bet, that the best time will come, then you too should tighten your bet so that we can see that you are sacrificing along with us. Not that you are living, you are entering the best. You just bought one of the best car for yourself. When we have other vehicles that you have used during this period of austerity measures that you have created for us. You've increased the cost of the minimum wage to 70,000 naira, and then remove fuel subsidy, and the middle class was wiped out. So the economic policies are done with some sense of human feeling. And it has to come with engagement. It has to come with, some level of policy, mitigating effect. So that's what I'm saying.
All financial and international organizations has rated this administration's policy as one of the best in almost 20 years now. Looking at all the indices that has happened in 2 years. For example, the floating of the naira and of course the FX is generating enough. Then of course it's at par rather. Then you look at how you look at what is happening to our consumption of the production of oil. Crude oil is now increased. Despite the fact that the different refineries are not really up and doing, but they've said okay. due to all of these things, I think to a large extent, the economy is working. Don't you think that the economy is actually working? And if it's not working, what do you think that they are not doing well? And how do you think that they can fix it?
For me, I measure economic indices by the impact on the life of people. If you want to do theories, you mentioned dependency theory, modernization theory, you'll be speaking a lot of grammar to the man on the street. The man doesn't understand that. The man doesn't understand what inflation and deflation is to the money that comes out of Alabama.
I think inflation now is like 27.5%.
We need to bring inflation up to 12% for the ordinary man to be able to breathe. And that is after the adjustment of the data. That deflation that is 20% is after the adjustment that they've had prostitution, they've had other, how they call it, official method of calculation to the data by the MBS. So that's why it's now pushed down to 20%. But we need to come down to 12% or 11%. Let me where I'm going to is the fact that, you see, any economic policy that does not reflect in the pocket of the ordinary man on the street is propaganda. It's not true. Because the man on the street needs to eat. He needs to feed his family. The cost of living should not be so high. The cost of transportation should not, dip so much into his earning. He should be able to take his child to a school, a public school that is well equipped. Today, how many of these schools have been built? We have federal government, federal technical colleges that are dying. We have federal government colleges that are dead. We have technical colleges in this country that are no longer, that I can't take my child there. They can't take their children there. That's the truth. Let's sit as Nigerians and not pretend to ourselves. So what is he doing with these resources? They say, subsidy has been removed. Revenue generation and what the government has increased. Yeah. What are they doing with the money?
The money is being given to the governor.
No, it's not the governor. There's percentage. It's shared.
Yeah, so
it's shared. Government takes the government. People are wanting to blame the governors because they want to take blame from. But the percentage that go to federal government, what is he doing with it? We're asking. Let's go. We'll go to governor. The percentage that's going to federal government, what is he doing with it? Today, Tinubu declared that he's building 750 kilometers of road, 750 kilometers of road, in coastal highway road.
Yeah,
we have over 36,000 square kilometers of federal highways that is not working. It's not motorable. That coastal highway, is about, you have to prioritize your project and how it favors your people. Because we need to be able to, rechannel our road network that will be able to allow for free goods and movement of goods and services.
He's also doing the one from Sokoto to Lagos.
I'm telling you, those new projects will not end in 10 years' time. Take it to me. They just did 30 kilometers, they claim now. 30 kilometers was done in 2 years. Calculate it. 2 years, let's do 30 kilometers. How long is it going to take to do 750?
I think the 30 kilometers was just to kick start it.
It's not going to be easy to do them. What we would have done was to fix our federal highways that is working. And that road, Tinubu is giving contracts. Yeah, it pains me that without appropriation, without clear-cut bidding, the Fiscal Responsibility Act is 2007 is very clear. That you must bid for this contract. This contract must be published. Nigerians will come and bid for it. Nigerians for all walks of life. The president cannot arbitrarily sit down and then say, Shagori, high-tech construction. I give you this 15 trillion contract. It's bad for our country. It gives a brazen authority to the president that undermines the participatory opportunities for businessmen in the country. You just give it to highway construction because the owner is your friend. So you trust him more. So is government about favoritism? It's about to favor your friends. Then you wake up and there was no public bidding. There was no appropriation act by the National Assembly. Please, let's speak truth to ourselves. You also wake up and we saw you in another meeting and you say, this one is my classmate from Chicago University, Alex. We are giving you contract to bring tractors. So where was the bidding? Where are the contractors? Where are the tractors today? So we can't continue like this. This is what leads to corruption because transparency without accountability leads to corruption. So we need to have a government that not only attempt to work, but also carry the people along and follow the rules and regulation of the engagement process.
Okay. My last question, which I have to go back so that in 30 seconds and we round it off. If Peter Obi is not on the ballot for 2027, who would you support?
I have who I'll support in my mind. I know I discussed with you before we started, but I won't say it because I know it will go viral.
Okay.
And it will affect my principle.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that Peter will be on the ballot. Peter Obi will be on the ballot. He has no choice. He owes that to me and my family for our commitment and my village community who gave him all the votes because he won my ward, he won my local government, forget any other thing that happened. But the result of my word is there, and my village people believe in him. So he can do it he can ignore his village people, but he shouldn't ignore mine. And there are a lot of people around Nigeria who believe, who hope is hanging on his ability to come and transform the system. So I know that he will be on the ballot, and I'm very confident about that. He won't disappoint us. So we're standing solidly behind him. But one thing we should know, it is Southern Presidency in 2031.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that's our show for you today. Join us in another week where we'll bring you what is happening in the polity of Nigeria and some of the social issues around the country. My name is Ademola Lawrence. This is Speak Your Truth. And we just finished having Chief Peter Ameh, the former IPAC chairman in Nigeria. Bye for now.